All right.
There we go. We're good.
Do we have sound now? I had the mic muted. Really, I thought I was perfect. Oh, man.
All right. That's how we're rolling today. Anyway.
Hey, Scott. This is Scotch for Dummies.
Yeah, let's start over.
For those of you who watched last night, we had the same problem.
Yes, there are three of us here tonight. Bourbon Shenanigans, Bourbon Mike is not here tonight. Drew is traveling for work. I just got back from work, so I'm still kind of turned over on time. I think it's like, I don't know, 5 o'clock.
You're going to be all right, man. We're going to walk you through this.
We'll do this.
I can't tell if there's sound or not, you guys. Come on, man. Why is this happening to me?
There's sound. The mic's pumping.
Sound's up.
We're good.
Okay. Good.
Yeah, I can hear it.
Yeah.
So, yes, guys, of all things, we went through another test round before the show, and when it was all said and done, I reached up and I muted the mic just to get everything, and we forgot to unmute it to start. So, not
We're
bad.
landing.
You know what? We didn't crash and burn.
Happy Thursday.
Gosh dang, happy Thursday. Now I can
Cheers, everybody.
As you can tell, it's not Scotch for Dummies tonight. It's Scotch 3 Dummies. The fourth one is out of town for work. Yeah, it looks like he's working real hard. He's sending us pictures of Scotch. Thank you, Tom.
But he said the long row was all fair game,
yeah,
right?
right?
I think that's what he said.
So anyway, lots of people already joining, and hopefully for good reason. You all know what's coming up. We are really excited here in a few seconds to introduce our guests, but let's start off with what we're drinking, boys. I think you poured me a what?
We got the Glencaidem 10.
Oh, a little Glencaidem, right? We just reviewed this one, what, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
So, oh, you're not. Andrew's starting off with Old Pulteney 21. Yeah, that's. But
right.
To a good show. I am super, super excited to introduce our guests tonight, everybody.
And we have a lot of stuff to get
And
through.
we do have a lot of stuff to do. I hope you can
Look
see
at
it
all
all
the stuff
up
on the bar.
on the desk, on the bar. But Miss Amanda Tucker is joining us from the Edrington group, and she's going to talk to you about what that is. I'm not going to spoil her thunder or anything, but we met her at Vine and Table at the Whiskey Expo, and reached out to her and asked her if she'd be willing to come on the show and talk to us a little bit about Mckellen, and she was more than willing and really excited us to talk about something that we haven't done. We've not touched either of these 3 bottles. We've never gotten into the edition series or the double.
We haven't even cut the foil.
Yeah, so we are super excited. So with that being said, let's just go ahead and introduce Amanda. And
there we go.
Hopefully you all can see her. Somebody give me a thumbs up on that.
Hi.
Can you hear us, Amanda? And everybody, I want you to make sure that you can hear her as well. So welcome to the show, Amanda. It's great to see you. I know you're on the road too, so thank you for making time for us and for all of our subscribers.
No problem. Thank you for having me. Much appreciated.
So you're with Edrington Group, right?
Yes, I am.
Tell me who that is.
So Edrington Group, we are the Edrington Group. Most people, when I introduce myself and say I work for Edrington, they're like, who's that?
Who?
But we actually own a number of different portfolios. Macallan is obviously our biggest brand. We also own Highland Park, the famous Grouse, Cuddy Sark, Brugal Rums, tequila partita, and snow leopard vodka. So we're actually a really diverse portfolio, but we have some exceptional single malts in our hands, as well as some great blends. So we're really excited to be here to talk to you guys about it today.
And out of quick curiosity, what got you into this industry? What brought you to where you are and what you're doing?
You know, I wish I had a cooler story, but I had a friend who was in the beverage industry working for actually an energy drink, and the local distributor where I live in Missouri was at my college, and she's like, you need to talk to these people. It's a great company to work for. And I met 2 people at the career fair and kept emailing them and stalking them until they gave me an interview. And kind of the rest is history. So I was fortunate enough to work at the distributor and work in both on and off-premise segments for almost 7 years. And then I actually took a break and went and worked for a brewery, Deschutes Brewery, for about a year, and then decided I missed the spirit side and came back to Edrington. So it's been about almost 10 years now, and I've had a fun journey and looking forward to what the future brings.
Nice.
Yeah, and we've got a lot of Scotch to talk about and with Mckellen, but I'm curious to start the questions off with what you think the future does bring in the industry of Scotch. I mean, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of challenges. You've got Brexit. There's all kinds of things, and I'm just curious from what you do in your role, what do you think is going on with Scotch and where is it going?
Well, I think to your point about Brexit, we're really trying to stay positive. We have a great relationship with the UK, and so I think it's going to be good for the U.S. to help renegotiate those trade agreements. That's kind of our outlook we're looking towards right now. I know the demand for aged statements is continuing to increase, and so we're already experiencing a shortage of stock on particularly our sherry oak portfolio. So I think we're going to see new and creative ways of making great whiskey with not necessarily age statements attached to it.
Yeah, that seems to be the way a lot of distilleries are having to go.
Exactly.
I don't think we're alone in that.
No, not at all.
Well, and when you triple your capacity in 1 year, you're going to have a lot of new make to use.
Exactly. And we're going to get into that, the capacity and a new distillery and all that. But I guess we really need to start getting busy with these. We do have some questions that we presented you from our patrons. There was only a few, so we'll get to those. I think they fit better down the road when we're in some of these bottles. But to start off, you had suggested that we start off with the Double Cask 12. And I'm fine to take your experience and lead on that because that was part of my questions. I'm like, do you have an idea? Yeah, get to pouring. Do you have an idea? Do we need to air these out? And you said you didn't think that was really necessary. But why did you say that we should start with this bottle?
So Double Cask is our newest age statement release from the Macallan. It's a 12-year-old, but what makes it unique and why I felt like we should start with it is that it's made to be a more approachable flavor profile. It's still 100% sherry seasoned cask, but we're using predominantly American oak. So you're going to get a lot more of the kind of citrus and vanilla that just makes it a little easier to drink than our traditional Macallan. I like to say it's our everyday Macallan, our breakfast Macallan, and then your sherry oak 12 year is going to be an after dinner drink.
So before I put my nose into this and even give it any of my attention, real quick, out of curiosity, compare this to the regular Mckellen 12. What do you? I mean, before I even smell this, what's going to be different?
So to me, I personally, when I smell it, I get a lot of butterscotch. It's not going to be as heavily on the sherry characteristics like that wood spice or those dried fruits. You're going to get more of kind of that caramel, vanilla. It's going to be, obviously, the color itself. I know we don't have the Sherry Oak 12 to compare to, but it's a little lighter in color. You can just kind of see.
It is.
It's more of a golden color, whereas the Sherry Oak 12 is a little of a darker, darker, closer to like a ruby or a maroon color.
And we said this was, or we didn't say, but it is, what, 43?
Yes.
Yes, it's still 43% like our Sherry Oak 12 year. So
Right.
It's not any lower in proof. We're just using that American oak, which isn't absorbing as much of the sherry characteristics, so you get a flavor profile closer to a bourbon.
Absolutely. And actually, when I was talking to you about it the other day, you said that this is probably the Mckellen that reaches across the aisle, so to say, to the bourbon drinkers the most, right?
Definitely. We recognize the trends that have been going on in the industry with the bourbon and Irish categories. So we really want to create that crossover brand that someone who's used to drinking bourbon or Irish whiskey, like, hey, try this. They have the double cask 12, fall in love, and then they move up within the Macallan portfolio and grow with us.
So
I get the traditional Macallan smell out of it.
yeah, I do too. Did I miss why it's double cask?
It's American and European.
Yeah.
So instead of just European?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So double cask, we're using both American and European sherry season casks,
All right,
whereas our traditional sherry oak 12, we're using predominantly European sherry season casks. The double cask, we're using the two different cask types, but predominantly American.
Okay, we have our first wheelhouse. Bobby, thanks for the super chat.
Cheers,
buddy.
sir.
Gosh, I haven't tasted this yet, and I'm gonna have to.
I
It's
tasted
light.
it.
So yeah, it is. It is. It's lighter. It's not quite the sherry bomb that you get out of a normal Macallan 12. I do
No,
like
it's not as strong as the 12. So I wish we had the 12. We had a bottle of 12, and we just killed it last week.
Oh.
I thought about suggesting the sherry oak 12, but I didn't think 4 would.
Would be pushing.
I will say that since we just had a bottle not too long ago, this is definitely a lighter, little more approachable Scotch, I think. It doesn't have those heavier sherry notes to it. I agree. It's a breakfast Scotch. It's
Pour it on your cereal.
Don't
Right?
It does have some of the sulfur on the nose.
But it is light, man.
It is.
It's
a lot lighter in the flavor.
Yeah, it's
finishes lighter.
definitely.
Short finish.
So really, the only difference between this and the regular 12 is the American oak casks, right?
Correct. Yes.
And what's the percentage difference? Any idea? Is it half and half-ish?
No, it's a greater majority of American oak, but unfortunately, I don't have they will not give me the exact.
so the
proprietary.
She's been told no.
One other thing to note though is, I do not.
I definitely asked.
Right.
I don't see this as bourbon. It doesn't taste like a bourbon.
Really?
No.
It is maybe transitionally towards that, but I don't get that clingly sweet and the grain and the corn and all that kind of stuff you get out of a bourbon. So this isn't bourbon. I can see maybe directionally it's that way, but
And that we weren't intending it to taste exactly like bourbon, but to your point earlier, it's definitely a lighter flavor profile than our traditional sherry oak 12. So if someone's kind of working towards that transition, it's a good.
Yeah, I think this is a good introductory. If you're just coming over from the bourbon world, this would be a nice one to get started in it.
Yeah. So hang on a second. Tom has a good question. Let me ask this. It says. Tom said, American sherry casks, are those virgin American oak casks they season with sherry before using them? He just wants it to be
correct.
Yes.
So we actually use a lot of the forestry companies within the Midwest. So I'm from Missouri. I know that's one of the forestry companies that we use. We also use all sustainable forestry companies. So for every tree we cut down, we plant one instead. We take those staves and ship them over to Spain, so they're still in staves. Then we have our own cooperages that build our casks, and then we season them with sherry for 2 years before we ship them up to Scotland. So he was correct. Just virgin American oak, seasoned with sherry.
Okay.
I see. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and as I was researching and reading the material you gave us, I talked to Sean about this earlier tonight. I really got stuck on that phrase, seasoned with sherry. And I kind of talked with Sean about what I thought that meant. And I actually researched it online today after I read what you had provided us, and I was wrong in what that means. And so I don't know if we want to get into the details of what that means.
What did you think it meant?
Well, in my mind, you say a barrel is seasoned with sherry. I thought it meant that sherry was aged in that barrel for like a long time, like Scotch is. Hey, there's been sherry in it for a long time, but that's not the case.
No.
Sherry's put in it for a short period of time to season the wood, and then that liquid is taken out, and it's low-end sherry, so they don't even bottle that. They redistill it to either sherry vinegar or sherry brandy, and then they sell those casks, or those casks find their way to Scotch distilleries.
Correct, but we do season it for 2 years.
Yeah,
right.
So that is different.
Like a week.
Right.
There are other companies that may essentially spray the cask with sherry to season it, to flavor it.
So
But this 2 years is pretty significant.
The history, though, it said that prior to 1986, sherry wine was still shipped in oak casks.
Yes.
And in 1986, the law changed. The law changed where you're not allowed to do that anymore. So what was happening is before 1986, they're shipping sherry wine to Scotland in these barrels, and it's cheaper for them to sell it to distilleries, the empty barrels, than it is to ship them back to the vineyards. So that's how it got introduced. Well, then in 1986, when the law changed, the barrels aren't showing up that way anymore. They had to start seasoning them in a new fashion, and that's what she's speaking to. It said online that I read 6 months to 2 years is considered seasoning, and you said Mckellen is 2 years.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
And we actually rent the sherry, so we pay for that 2 years that we use it, and then we give it back to them, and they're able to do, like you said, and they distill it down into Spanish brandy, and continue to make a profit off of it.
So that goes in directly into one of the questions that everyone had. Does a company like Macallan have to have a sherry producer to be competitive? Is that part
we
of
have partnerships with different sherry producers, so we work with different producers.
So it's not a part of the Edrington group, but you have a partnership with them.
Well, they're an importer.
Yeah, Edrington's an importer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, the Edrington doesn't own Mckellen. They import. They own they import that brand into the Americas, right?
Okay.
Is that correct?
I'm sorry, you kind of turned your head. I didn't hear you.
We were discussing what Edrington is an importer. So when you say Edrington doesn't own Mckellen, Edrington is the importer to bring that brand into the States.
No, Edrington does own.
They do own Mckellen.
Mckellen. We used to be imported into the U.S. by Remy Martin.
Ah.
And Edrington's always owned the brand, and they recently, around 2014, created Edrington Americas. And then we took out the middleman with Remy, and we started having our own, cutting out the middleman, having our own import.
Like
so really, relatively, Edrington U.S. is really
Brown-Forman,
very
those
young.
kind of.
I'm glad I asked the question. I was confused on it. So now that it's a little, that's not as foggy.
You know what's funny? I'm reading through the comments, and I'm amazed at the number of people that started their Scotch journey with Macallan 12.
We did.
I've seen at least 5 on there so far, and we would be another one. So
yeah. I know this isn't on topic to the double cask, but how much stock does Mckellen have as far as liquid? Just liquid in barrels under a roof.
I would say around 260,000 casks.
give or take.
Yeah, we'll give you a little plus or minus there.
Yes.
That's a lot of liquid.
So when do we get
enough
into
to make 1 million cases? Up to 3 million.
Yeah.
when do you get in? When do we get into production volumes? Because that's what I'm interested in. We're gonna go into more of these first. Or?
Yeah, when we get through the when we get through the end of the editions, we'll talk about the production because I think the fuller will bring
I would say to finish up.
I'm giving the farm away. Sorry.
You're fine.
No, I love this.
I will say the double cask. I definitely get a little bit more of the sweeter notes that you get from American oak, and not really very much of the spicy stuff that I think of with the European. And I think that's why I'm thinking this is a much smoother, easier drinking.
It really is.
It doesn't have any of those bourbon characteristics, but it's a much smoother.
I'll agree with you on the front end, but I get the spice. I get the European oak spice on the side of my tongue at the after I've swallowed it. It's not a long. But I get that spiciness, and that's where it's coming from, that European oak. I know that, but it's not up front. It's almost like I can taste the American oak in the beginning, and I taste the European oak in the end.
It's a little hint.
Yeah.
It's not much there, but it's there.
Yeah, it's not like a Highland Park spice or anything.
I like this glass. So, price-wise, what are we looking at for the double cask versus just the regular 12-year?
So, as of right now, they are line priced. But due to some inventory constraints, we're going to be kind of making some pricing adjustments, and double cask will actually be approximately $10 to $15 lower than the Sherry Oak 12 as we move forward in the next year.
So while we finish off this glass of double, let's ask a couple questions. Scott from Scotch Test Dummies. Scotch Test Dummies is another channel. Great channel. Love those guys. We spend a lot of time watching their show too. But Scotch is a big Mckellen fan. And so he has asked, us to ask you if there are any plans for an all Oloroso European Oak cask strength release.
What?
And that kind of goes in line with one of our patron
Very
questions
specific.
who wanted to know something about, will Mckellen ever offer a cask strength
age state.
aged statement?
So as of right now, as I said, our demand's higher than kind of our inventory. So we're
Sure.
I have to say we're using as much as we can to create those age statements. So I will never say never, but as of right now, I have not heard of plans to have an age statement cask strength whiskey. And then the other one was Oloroso European Sherry Season Classic cask strength. Was that the?
Yes.
Oloroso European Oak cask strength. Say that 10 times.
It's cask strength.
Again, with the demand and then the shortage of the sherry cask availability, I do not have knowledge of that, but never say never. We're doing a lot of things that, especially with these additions, we're doing a lot of things we never thought would be done. So never say never.
Well, with
but
that,
as of right now, I have not heard of plans.
with that being said, Scott, I'll do you a solid. If
No.
you can pass a note for Scott, Amanda, up the chain to get that done, he'd be great.
I'm writing it down.
Writing it down, yeah.
You'll have to because it's really detailed.
Exactly. But I promise you, Scott would very much appreciate it.
And I believe, are they out of Kansas?
They
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
out of Kansas. Yes.
I think I may have met some of their members, and I'm definitely aware of them. So hello,
And I do believe that when we started
Call me
talking,
maybe.
I told you that after this show, you may very well end up on their show.
Yeah.
Which is great. That's what this is all about. We actually
No,
work
that's
a lot
awesome.
together.
And maybe I'll be a little less nervous since I'll have one under my belt.
Exactly.
Oh, well, good.
I'm almost done with this, and we can get into the additions. But there was a question that a very good subscriber of ours, by the name of Hoagie Bear in Berlin, Germany, had asked. When is Macallan N gonna come out? Because he's finished off his Macallan M.
His M. You said M, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he wants to know when.
He's finished off the M, and he wants to know when N is coming out.
Oh, I haven't heard of any plans for an N, but we are coming out with a new version of M.
Mm.
So keep an eye out for that.
Can you tell us anything
Really all I
about
can
that at
say,
this point?
but-
While we change over.
Honestly, I think this is a more approachable bottle
That's
than Macallan.
really all I can
I
say
think
on
so,
the
too.
M right now. But,
So a new edition of M is in the plans.
a new edition of M with some different flavor profiles.
Okay.
So
Fair enough.
It's very
Interesting.
exciting. So keep an eye out for that.
So Hoagie, that will be your end, sort of. All right.
So are we into the edition series?
Next
Everybody
up is the
ready?
edition series.
Well, yeah. While you
So-
work on that, I wanna let's
So-
talk about
so-
this, Amanda. And
Yeah, so we're starting with 2, but there was a 1.
yeah, there was
So-
a 1. And what's editions mean in the first place? Let's just talk about the series in general. Why did this start? What are you doing? And then start with 1 because we don't even have that one. And tell us where 1 is at.
I have to say at the time I didn't work for the company. So if I would have been there, I would have, really pushed hard to have it in my states. But edition 1 was almost kind of a test experiment to see how things went. And it was released in kind of the major markets, New York, Chicago, Dallas, Miami, California. So it's definitely a little harder to find right now. I would say you probably would be looking on some
Secondary.
non-store places.
Yeah, secondary auction sites and stuff.
We looked at the edition series as an opportunity to kind of create a limited edition collectability, but also affordability. So, we have the M and we have the Lalique 65 and 60-year-olds, and I can't afford a $35,000 bottle of whiskey, but I can afford a $100 bottle.
Especially when it tastes it.
It kind of gave everyone the opportunity to have their own collectability, and really it's all about our cask management and how we're first in class. And our whiskey master is the best of the best in what he does, and so you're going to see all unique, never to repeated versions of different whiskeys using multiple different cask types from different producers, first fill, second fill, American and European oak. So it's just they're all really unique. I'd say edition 1 was basically Bob Dalgarno kind of on his own, taking 8 different casks that he blended together to kind of start out the edition.
How long's he been master distiller?
He's been working at the distillery since the 70s. I'm not exactly sure when he became master distiller, but he's getting ready to retire.
Ooh.
So,
well, that's a good question. Will the editions continue after he retires? I mean, I don't know.
you know, we are coming out with our 4th this year. In Macallan, we tend, I can't make any promises, but we have our 6 pillars at Macallan. And so we kind of tend to do things in 6s. So if I was a betting person.
Okay. Fair enough.
Fair enough.
So, okay, so we know about 1. We know why editions are here. And what we have is 2. And by the way, just so you're aware, I've been following the comments. A lot of people are talking about where can they get their hands on 1. And there are people who know there's, I guess, Scott says there's still some 1s on shelves in North Carolina, I think I saw. So it's interesting. There's a lot of talk going on about where people can still get their hands on a 1. So I think maybe it's out there, but I bet you the price is going up.
Tom R found one.
Yes, I will say
Of course he
when I checked online the other day, it was around $350.
Is that secondary market?
It was Wine Searcher.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, again, I didn't go to every single website, but it's already more than doubled in value, and it's only been 2 years since it was.
Yeah. What was the
released.
price point? What was the price point when it was released?
Originally, it was targeted to be around 100 to 115, depending 115, 120, depending on the market in the U.S. But it was targeted around that $100 as a good gift-giving opportunity.
Okay, and that's approachable. People can afford to do that.
Especially for Macallan, right?
Right. Sure. Why not? You splurge. It's a gift, right? It's a gift for ourselves.
Yeah, so I just want to make a comment to Whiskey Dick is online. I have a question. We'll get to that. There's lots of questions coming in. I'm trying to write a few down as we go through it. As we can
Talk amongst ourselves.
Talk amongst yourselves and try to get some questions in.
Clamped.
So let's talk about this edition too.
Yeah, I mean, before I put my nose into it, so I mean, honestly, I've been letting it open up a little bit in air
This
because
smells like a camel.
I don't want to really, dive into it head first. But what am I going to expect here? Obviously, you gave us the notes and I've read them and I've got an idea. But let's talk to our subscribers. What do you expect out of an edition 2? If you've never tried an edition 2, what are we going to get out of? What's different about it? What makes it special?
I would say it's a very unique flavor profile. Bob Dalgarno, our whiskey master, partnered with the 3 Roca brothers who own Estela de Can Roca in Spain, which was twice voted the best restaurant in the world.
Yeah, let's do a time out there. It's an 11-month reservation waiting list if you can get on it. So
it's a 3-star Michelin restaurant.
Oh, yeah.
Sean's the general manager of a really big restaurant and chef, and so he was very interested about that aspect of edition 2.
There are certain restaurants that are whispered about in hushed tones,
right?
That you would love to go visit, but you'll never be able to.
Right.
And that's one of those places.
But obviously Mckellen got in the door.
Right. And so they had the Roca brothers pick out casks.
So each of the Roca brothers and Bob Dalgarno chose different casks that they felt best suited or best represented their personalities. So one of the, I don't remember which one it was, but one of them chose a cask that he really felt like, the pastry chef chose something that was vanilla and toffee. Bob Dalgarno chose a cask from Tavasa because that's kind of, it's one of his favorite sherry producers. So they all worked with different sherry producers and chose those casks that they felt. So it's a lot of food flavors. This probably isn't how it's written down in marketing, but I almost feel like it's kind of a baked apple pie with a little extra spice on it.
I can get behind that.
Well, I mean,
and also it is bottled at a higher proof. So
right.
It's
I noticed that right off.
2% ABV.
Right, and that was one thing I did not do with the double because I didn't put any water on it, which I failed to do. I got wrapped up in the conversation and I forgot to put a little
I can
water.
honestly say that the
always
nose
do
on this
that.
is great.
I know we do, and I
the
really
nose
got
on
caught
this.
up in the conversation and watching the clock. I don't want to eat too much time on one bottle when we have 3, and I know there's going to be after conversation about the edition series. Luckily, and thank you very much, Amanda, you sent the whole bottle, so we will do an official review of it after
Yes, we will.
this. But
And your friend can try who's not here, Drew, right?
Yes. No, we may have to
maybe.
finish this before Drew gets
Yeah.
home. We'll see.
Did he put you up to saying that?
Wow.
So,
Nice.
Yeah. So let's talk through this. What do
yeah,
you-
let's talk through it. First things first. On the bottle and on the box, I really got to appreciate the transparency that's listed
Put
on
that
it.
up
I
to the
mean,
camera.
honestly, everything about this bottle is on that box. I can tell the casks that are used about it, who chose
I want to see the number.
who chose the actual casks. It's got their name on who chose which casks and whatnot, and the percentage makeup. So I appreciate that a lot. And you said it was natural color, right?
Yes, correct. Everything in
Natural color.
Macallan's 100% natural color.
And non-chill filtered. Yeah.
Is that
This
natural?
one is not. The additions are non-chill filtered, right?
We don't know.
Or did you
Is the additions non-chill filtered, or do you know?
I thought it was not. It was chill filtered.
It is chill
It
filtered.
is
okay.
chill filtered.
Okay.
Which, yeah.
So the reason
Hold
I
on,
put.
I can phone a friend.
All right. so the reason I put that up to the camera, and you can rewind and watch the view, that there's like a serial number on this bottle that gives a lot of information about what's in it. Now the serial number here, and maybe you guys can interpret the serial number better than I. We got a C4.V372.T21.2016-002.
Yes, and she gave us the marketing, a ton of information. But if you want to describe that, you can take that, Amanda. That's great.
So so on the box is the serial number with all the key details. The C is the number of cask styles used. V is the number of casks added to create the full year volume. T is the color tint, not because we added anything to it, but just the color that it is on the color
evaluated, yeah.
scale. 2016 is the year it was produced, and it was edition number 2. So as we move on to the next one, you'll see a similar serial number with obviously the difference based on the number of casks used a year and edition.
Okay.
I can tell you after having taken a sip of this that the higher ABV did a great job with this Scotch. It's
Bob's. That's 48% is actually his preferred strength. So I think that was one of the reasons that he went with that.
It's really nice, and I can tell some of the toffee and orange and dried fruit flavors that they were going for. Ginger was listed on there, and I get that as well. So they did a really nice job, and it's striking how different it is from the last one that we had. The nose, the palate, it's...
I still get the traditional Mckellen nose. I can still smell a little bit of that rubber in there that I'm used to getting on.
Yeah,
it's definitely not. No, it's not like the 12, but not that at all. I'm not saying.
Well, Bob chose Tabasa because that really exemplifies the true flavor of Macallan that we're looking for. So I think that was kind of his base and his starting point to balance it all out with Tabasa. So our number 6, which is one of our 1824 Master Series, uses all casks from the Tabasa. It's a single single producer for sherry cask. So
yeah, I mean, so I put my nose in this, and I get Macallan, signature Macallan, but then when you put it in your mouth, you get a little more of that heat. You get a little more of that potency.
I love the ABV on it. It's great.
It's really nice.
It's really nice with water. Too.
I haven't. I'm gonna put some. I think it can handle the water. It does taste a little peppery.
Yeah, it's got a
It's
little
a little
bit.
spicy to me.
It's the ginger.
Yeah, man, that's what it is.
It's ginger and white pepper.
Mm.
Amanda, I've got a question for you. So, what is the lead time for a project like the Edition series? I mean, you guys season your barrels for 2 years at least, and then you've got to age the whiskey for 3. So
minimum 3 years.
Right. So I mean, you're thinking about this, 5 to 10 years before you're going to release it. That's a long time.
I think we foresaw some of the issues with the aged statement whiskeys, and so wanted to kind of figure out a way to give great whiskey to the consumer.
Well, so that leads into a question that
Wheelhouse. Rob.
Thank you, Rob.
Cheers.
The Whiskey Dictionary is another really, really popular YouTuber. that is going through, and his question was, if we are planning for 10 years out, 12 years out, what is Macallan doing now, if you can talk about it, that is somewhat innovative, unique, and really kind of has your plan going forward? Because you got to be doing it now if you're going to have it in 10 years. So are there things that you could talk about that they're starting to cask or age in different locations or anything like that's going on with Macallan?
I will say that we see double cask as a big part of our future.
Okay.
So right now we have the double cask 12-year-old. I think that will continue to grow as a portfolio with the double cask. The additions is a great, kind of an ongoing project that we have. And
so
trying to think of anything else.
Well, the question is that double cask, that was innovated 12 years ago. Do you know what the distillers are putting into casks now in the plans for going forward?
I am not privy to that.
Okay. Well, and then that's fair. I just thought I'd ask. It was a question that came up, and we're going to try and push down.
They probably keep that close to the vest.
So we owe a wheelhouse to Tom. I think you guys are trying to get us drunk. So every time someone makes a donation on a live show, we get a super chat thing, and so we always have this thing where we say wheelhouse, and
take a drink and sip,
and we'll take a sip, and we're being blessed with some of our favorite subscribers taking care of us.
It's because I know you have a full bottle of it.
Exactly. But there was one question that I tried to scroll up and down through. I didn't want to lose it. And it led to the fact that I believe is the Edition series produced or released in other markets outside of the U.S. at a different ABV?
Good question.
I can't find the question again.
Unless there is, is there I don't know, like sometimes in states with beer there's different level ABV levels that are allowed. So I don't know, does a country have a certain, I don't know, if a country would
ceiling?
Yeah, ceiling on the ABV. I can't imagine that they would create, it's kind of all...
Right, so Whiskey Throttle.
One batch, so I can't...
Whiskey Throttle said, how come it's lower outside of the USA? So, Whiskey Throttle, if you're still around, I got to scroll up. Be more specific. What specific bottle? Are you talking about Editions? Are you talking about the double cask or Mckellen in general? And what country are you talking about?
So that's a question. So these, I'm going to ask if you know, these are bottled at 48.2 globally, right? The intention with the Editions is to have the same presentation globally. Or is this just the U.S. edition, or what do you know about that?
No, you're kind of far away, but I think you asked if this was just a U.S. edition,
yes.
And it's not.
Okay, so it's the same. And I'm reaching to the microphone over there. Or maybe Mark, you can request the answer for me. It's the same bottling, same everything globally, not just in the U.S.
Right. So the Editions are released globally, the same around, unless a law prohibits otherwise.
That's my guess. I know they have launched at different times. So we launched Edition 3 in the U.S. around September, October, but Mexico is just launching it now. So.
Okay.
But I have not heard anything about different ABV issues. I can ask, but that's probably going to take me a little longer to answer.
So looks like the fine oak is what they were talking about.
Yeah, Whiskey Throttle. I'm losing. So Canada and U.S. He's talking about just regular Mckellen 12.
So in Canada, they actually, as far as I understand, right now they do have the double cask, but they're currently not carrying Sherry Oak 12 or any. They're carrying non-age statement whiskeys similar to the UK.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a comment that somebody said that Sherry Oak was not available in Canada, and it's not.
Correct.
It's not on the current.
It's not.
Yeah. Okay.
Sherry Oak is not. The double cask 12 will be if it's not there already.
Right, but he's saying in the States, double cask 12 is 43 ABV, and in Canada it's 40.
Very interesting.
We just
liquor laws around the world change.
They want their extra 3%.
Yeah.
Did you put some water on that?
I did. And I was going to say, you know what, Amanda, last night when we did a test run and we chatted, I told you not to be afraid to learn something, that there's going to be people on here that throw stuff at us that you're not going to have known. I mean, it's interesting, and you kind of just have to write it down and say, I'm going to have to look at that and try to figure out why.
Canada's actually included in our division, our central division, so I'm going to head to the office tomorrow morning, and I can probably get a good answer for you guys by the afternoon, so
because of taxes.
I'll make sure and get back to you. Whiskey Colonel?
Yeah.
There you go. So,
there you go. So we'll get back to you.
Folks, Whiskey, we'll get back to you and an official answer from her. Although one of our whiskey tubers, Amanda, Rob, he runs a channel called Whiskey in the Six. Great guy
In Canada,
in Canada. He is saying that it's that way because of taxes.
Because the higher the ABV, the more you're paying.
Yeah.
Who knows? He runs a pretty tight ship up there. I know we've been dying to get up there, so I'm gonna take what he says is the word.
No,
All right. So it's quarter till. We need to get into edition 3.
Edition 3.
So edition 3. Hallelujah.
You know what the problem is?
I'll tell you what.
We got the guy that likes to gab in charge of the whole thing.
You guys want to shift positions? You guys want to tap me out?
You're in charge, dude. But we're gonna move on to edition 3 with or without you.
Okay.
I enjoyed edition 2 quite a bit.
So while you pour edition.
Yeah, while we get into edition 3, to wrap up edition 2, there were 372 casks filled for edition 2. Is that it?
There are 372 casks that were vatted or married.
And the number of bottles you said was 8,000 cases US? Yeah.
8,000.
Around, yeah, not a
Give or take.
Cases. I'm sorry, cases, not bottles.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
So make sure we're clear.
And that's just
So
that's US.
Well, that's
cool.
That's it.
Is world.
That's global.
That's global.
No, nationally. It's nationally.
Okay,
It's
okay.
nationally, you're right.
That's I mean, that makes a big difference. Yeah, I'm getting there.
Go.
So, I know you, what did you think of the edition 2, Mark?
I actually liked it. I mean, I thought it was very similar. Listen, let me back up. It's definitely Mckellen. There's a Mckellen, something about Mckellen new make that you can't hide it from me. I mean, you pour a Mckellen and I'm going to know it's a Mckellen. I definitely thought it was more flavorful. It was a little more robust than the double cask. If I had to choose between that, and I'm going to liken it back to the 12 because that's what I remember the most, because we've probably had that the most. I would choose it over the 12. Actually, I think I'd choose the double cask 12 over the regular Mckellen 12, just because I thought it was more approachable. I don't know. I just anyway, the edition 2, I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. I got a little bit of the spice in the back end, and I liked that. I'm very curious to see what happens against the 3.
I can tell you right now that the nose is different.
Well, so let me read the front of the bottle. Limited edition is an extraordinary collaboration between our master whiskey distiller, or whiskey maker, Bob, and master perfumer.
I was going to let her talk about it.
Well, that's even better.
So, yeah, the nose is completely different.
So,
all right,
tell us about that.
Amanda, tell us about this one.
So I wanted to say I really enjoy when we have the opportunity to taste the 2 and 3 side by side because they're so, like, as you're saying, even from the nose, you can tell that they're distinctly different. But I've had about a 50-50. Half the people choose edition 2 and half the people choose edition 3. So I really just think it comes down to kind of personal preference, and it's kind of cool to see how different people's palates pick up different notes. But so Roja Dove is a master perfume maker and aroma expert. So we actually did kind of a Skype with him, and he told us that it takes 15 years to become a master aroma expert, but only 8 years to become a surgeon. So that's pretty cool, but I probably wouldn't trust you to cut me open. So let's see what that is.
Well, Sean did a little research on him prior to the show, and didn't you say that you could actually, if you had the money, you could hire him to create your own fragrance?
Yeah. If you're into that sort of thing, you can go for a consultation. He'll sit down with you, walk you through all of the aromas you can choose from.
And make your own personal fragrance.
I love fragrance, but I don't know if I could afford that. I thought it would be a neat idea to give an incentive for the sales reps, maybe one of Roja Dove's perfumes, and I checked them out online. I believe the least expensive was around $500.
Yeah, that sounds
Wow.
about right.
I kind of was like, they might just want the cash.
Yeah. I'd rather have a bottle of whiskey.
No, you know your people.
Okay, so I gotta say, edition 3 definitely is probably the hardest Mckellen that I've ever nosed, as far as saying that's flat out of Mckellen. I just got done saying you can pour a Mckellen, I want to know it. Mckellen 3 masks that sulfury rubber, the traditional. I don't get it as strong. It's
So Roja actually, he was given a selection of Cask by Bel Delgarno, and he kind of charted their aromas only on the nose. So he didn't taste them; it was all about his nose. And he created the distinctive aromas, and then Bob blended them together to create the whiskey itself. And he actually said that if he didn't like the way it turned out, he would pull the partnership and take his name off of it, because he doesn't want to, he wants to be associated with the best of the best, and puts a lot of pressure on Bob, but it all worked out.
Sure.
He really wanted it to be reminiscent of a fine fragrance.
So this one's really more about the nose than it is the flavor profile.
The flavor's so light.
Well, it's definitely a lot about the nose, but he kind of wanted to be layered as you taste it. And one of the things that stood out most to me, like a perfume, it lingers. It sticks around in your mouth. That finish is really long and lingering, like a fine fragrance would be.
So I'm trying to pull out the different notes, and oftentimes a Highland Scotch can be really floral and lavender, and I'm not getting this out of that. This is not designed to smell like a perfume. It is designed to smell like a light, rich, classic Scotch, but not have that perfume.
It comes off hotter than that too, to me. And it's the same.
I'm getting
ABV.
wood on the nose.
We didn't say that.
It's 48.3.
Yep, it's the same as edition 2.
48.2.
I'm getting more wood on the nose of this than
0.1.
0.1 makes a difference.
Some of our viewers care.
Okay.
So a lot of our commenters are saying, "Oh, it's going to be a perfumey thing," and it's really not. It's a different nose to the Macallan edition 2, but it's not smells like a woman's perfume.
I will agree that it is more layered. It's got spicier notes than the edition 2. I didn't pick up a lot of the. It's got pepper and ginger and allspice notes to it, but it's got a really sweet backbone as well.
It does.
Are you talking about the nose or the palate?
Both.
All right, because I got to tell you, on the nose, I think this thing is about as complex as it gets. I mean, I keep going in there and getting something else. It is layered. There's a lot in the nose.
going on.
It's like an ogre.
Yeah, kudos for the guy that did it, because he's a fragrance expert, I guess is what you.
Aroma expert. Master perfume maker.
The palate, I'm not getting as much complexity on the palate. I'm getting some heat, some spice, some pepper.
See, I'm with you. It lingers. I wasn't sure. I actually like them both, but they're very unique. They're very different.
I'll tell you what, I want the nose of 3 with the palate of 2. Can I do that?
Maybe that'll be 5.
Oh, jeez.
Don't encourage him.
Whiskey
no
Throttle
need for
says,
that.
put some behind your ears and see what your wife says.
There you go.
Yeah, I don't think she's going to like it.
So that's the thing I don't want people to think is that this is some sweet perfumey floral.
No,
it's
no,
not.
it's
It
not.
has a different nose than Macallan.
It's actually
reminiscent.
spicier than the
It's
2.
not supposed to be. Yes, I'm sorry if that was misleading. It's
No.
not supposed to be over the top. It's just reminiscent in the fact that it has those layers that you discussed, and then that finish that
It's
lingers
like
around
an
like a fine perfume does.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted to. So the reason I say that, Amanda, is that there were lots of comments coming in. Oh, it's a perfume. Put it behind your ear. But that's not it. I mean, it's a Scotch. It's colored Macallan. It has that Macallan overtone, but it just got more to it than that. So. Yeah.
Well, some of our viewers have noticed, Amanda, that edition 1 was released at 48.1%. Edition 2 was released at 48.2%. Edition 3 is 48.3%. Is there an emerging pattern that we need to pay attention to?
If I was a betting man, I would.
Inquiring
I would
minds
think so.
want to know.
So this is a good segue into
edition
4.
4. So will we see a 48.4%? Dun dun dun.
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
Scott, you're a winner chicken dinner.
So, it's interesting with the Edition 4. We're really excited about our new distillery that's opening officially to the public this summer. And Edition 4 is actually a tribute to our new distillery that's opening up. So
And that new distillery is a huge effort. It was a huge undertaking. What's the budget? You said, I think it was listed at $100 million, but it ended up being 125 or something.
Yeah, I mean, when you redo your bathroom or your kitchen, it's always a lot. It's always more than what you expected. So I think the same holds true for distilleries. Initially, it was around $100 million, but it's definitely gone upwards from there.
It always happens. A budget overrun. But so with a new distillery, that does increase Macallan's output. And that was something that Andrew was very curious as to know. What is Macallan's overall output right now, right? Is that what you want? You asked.
Well,
the
so
question. I don't know.
So we had talked a little bit before we got online, and Amanda, can you tell us kind of what the expansion plan was when they came through and said, "Hey, Macallan, we're doing a great job. We're selling lots of material. We need to expand. Let's spend $100 million. Where are we going? What's the plan?" Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, obviously, we want to be able to keep up as best as possible with demand. The new distilleries allowed for a 15% production increase, and I believe we went from 14 to 42 stills with the capacity to go up another 14 from there.
Wow. Wait a minute, 42 stills. 42 still.
From 14. So Macallan is by far the largest single malt distiller and seller in the world. And you're going from 14 stills to 42 stills? Is that correct?
That's information I have.
Okay.
That's just,
so
that's
do you know,
man?
I would be surprised if you can triple the sales of Macallan. Are they planning to do some material for blends out of that distillery too, or is it just for Macallan single malt Scotch?
Well, they're
just for Macallan.
they're having trouble keeping up with demand now.
Right, they're behind demand.
Yeah, but 3 times.
And well, hang on a second. They're behind demand, and industry-wide, it's known that there's this shortage of aged Scotch. And I'm not talking about old Scotch. I'm talking about there's a certain range in there, like between the 15 to 18-year Scotch. There's a shortage.
Yeah.
And so they went from 14 to 42 still. Guess what? In 15 years, they're not going to be short.
They're not going to be sure. Hopefully, there's a market at the time.
Right. Well.
And I will say, even with Macallan, we are our production on Sherry Oak 12. We're having just the 12-year-old. We're having trouble with keeping up with demand. So there is going to be less inventory than we've had in years past on just even our 12-year-old Sherry Oak. So.
Well, that leads to a question that I had. Is that if you've watched Macallan, so because Scotch for Dummies essentially started with Macallan 12, that was one of our first Scotches, entry-level Scotches.
Well, thank you.
And that's what started this whole process. And then, but the price has just really, really gone up.
It has.
So it's gone from 40 to 50 to 70 to plus dollars per bottle. And I'm assuming that's based on our discussion because you don't have it. There's just nothing there, so might as well raise the price because we can get it.
Right.
Am I being cynical there, or is that kind of the strategy?
Well, obviously basic economics.
Supply and
Supply and demand.
Supply and demand.
I respect that. Yeah.
But also, because I kind of described this a little earlier, we are not. We're not purchasing our casks. We are building our own casks. We're taking everything on the average time, once you consider the tree's grown,
Correct.
to cutting down the tree, shipping it over to Spain, allowing the staves to air dry for 2 years, then building our own casks at our cooperages, putting sherry in for
There's
an
a
additional
huge
2
cost for
years.
that.
So we're spending about 10 times more the industry average on our barrels. Time is money. We want the highest quality product. And so,
Sure.
and we've fortunately seen that people are willing to pay for quality.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a fair question.
Tom, it's 5 minutes till you guys, and we're
we're gonna have
just
to go
about
over
quit.
because
Yeah.
we got some questions, additional questions
So,
we need to kind
Andrew's
I'm super
already
excited
pushed.
I talk that much.
Yeah, Andrew's pushing to go over, and I was telling you how religious we are about stopping at 11 because Telex goes and has an after show, and how could we step on his toes? So Andrew, if you're gonna do that, you need to ask him to the camera right now. But before we do
Please
that,
tell
I wanted
us.
to
We
ask
have 10
you
minutes.
and Amanda, Tom, one of our subscribers, wanted to know if you had planned on attending the Benny's whiskey event this year.
In Chicago.
Actually, I will be there.
Actually, Tom, she will be there.
There you go.
That?
There
So
you go.
he
I'll
wants.
be at the Benny's event and the Chicago Whiskey Fest.
So there you go, Tom.
Maybe we should go.
Yes, there.
The Benny's is amazing. You actually get a lot more like one-on-one interaction with some of like the biggest ambassadors and national people. So, and I'm not exactly sure what the cost is for a ticket, but it's definitely a great event.
We should all go with
You
Tom.
know what? I
We
was gonna
should.
say if we go with Tom, we'll get Compton. That guy spends so much money at Benny's.
Of course, I think
Wait,
Drew's
is
up.
that who Drew's with?
Yes, it is. That's the problem.
It is.
We're broke. We're broke now.
Yeah. So there, I wanted to make sure I asked you, Tom, and you got an answer. Andrew, you got a lot more questions you've been
Well, come
asking.
say hello, please.
Yeah. So we talked about casking. We talked about. So there are some questions, specifically about you, Amanda. So you represent multiple brands, either from vodkas to scotches to whatever. What is your go-to? I just need to hang out and have a drink. Is it scotch? Is it bourbon? Is it beer? Wine? What's kind of your go-to?
I'm very non-discriminatory. I think it just depends on the mood
All
or
right.
my mood.
That's a
As
fair-
I said, I worked for a brewery, so I like craft beer. I like
Okay.
scotch on a chilly night. I like champagne. I like vodka. I love it all.
So if I were to look at your bar right now, if you were at your house and you had, and we could look at your bar, would it be a mixture of everything?
I would have a champagne. I love Mckellen, but Highland Park within my the Edrington portfolio is kind of near and dear to my heart.
Yep.
I just think the harmonization between the sweet and the smoky just makes it a really unique whiskey that I love to drink. And then I would have some IPAs.
Yep. Good.
And then probably a vodka as well.
Okay.
There you go. There you go.
You
So-
know,
I'm all over the
we
place.
didn't finish with when can we expect to see the four, did we?
Oh, we did not.
No.
And I wanted
Edition
to
4.
give Amanda an opportunity to introduce four because that's been a couple questions, and that was one of our patron questions, and it's the next one in the series. So tell me, or us, our subscribers, about edition 4. When are we going to see it, and what can we expect?
We are looking around July, August for the release date in the United States. So we're actually a little earlier than we have been in years past. I do not have the Cask breakdown or much information about the product itself, unfortunately, but it will have kind of the blueprint of the new distillery on the bottle and talk a lot about that. So
Well, that'll be fun.
I'm excited to see it.
Right. So I mean, Bob's keeping the casking close to the chest, and that's fair enough. But
Probably because he knows people like me will go and talk about it.
right. Well, which is not a bad thing. You kind of want that, but we're looking at when 2018, mid July,
Yeah,
June,
July, August.
July, August. Okay.
All right.
And do we have a flavor profile?
Depending
Did I
on,
miss that?
distributors ordering
Not much
and
information.
all that fun stuff.
So we don't have a flavor profile on the edition 4 yet?
We have an idea of what it's supposed to represent. It's the edition 4 is going to be based around the new distillery. Now, what that means as far as flavor profile, I think you can.
So you can't, Amanda, you can't tell
I
us
don't think she
anymore.
knows.
It's gonna have new car
I
smell.
don't. I literally don't know.
Make something up. No, don't do that. I'm kidding.
All right, Amanda. My only, I have a question for you. Did you enjoy the podcast? Did you
Yeah.
enjoy being
podcast?
on YouTube and doing this?
I did. I like I said, I was really nervous, but I had a great time, and I really appreciate you guys inviting me. And hopefully I did okay.
I think you did. I really encourage you to go back and watch, and so you can read the comments because there's just been a ton of conversation
Yeah.
going on that you're not able to see at the moment. But I also think that it may be tomorrow that you get an email from Scott from Scotch Test Dummies, which I hope you do.
Whiskey's a Six, and
couple
Malted
of great
Montreal,
guys.
and Whiskey Dick,
I
and
mean,
all of you.
There's a small group of what we call whiskey tubers and we really try to help each other out. We definitely don't try to step on each other's toes and go, our shows are all separate times and stuff, although last night I pulled up a dumb move and a test move and did something. But I think you'll find it's a good community, and you very well may find yourself a member of that community, in demand right now. And so,
hey, I subscribe to you guys, so I'll be watching future episodes.
Excellent.
Well, the next time you come back on, we'll have Drew here, and there'll probably be a game show involved, and there may
Who
be
knows?
trivia questions.
Yeah,
we
trivia
may-
questions, yeah.
we'll put you under the
I
grill.
like trivia or Jeopardy, right?
Yeah, we've done Jeopardy a couple of times.
But on that note, if there are other questions, I'm sure we're going to take a look at this. And if everyone that's on and subscribing, if there's a question that you posted in the chat and we didn't get to, just because it flew through too quick and we were in the midst of chatting, repost it or email it to us at scotchfordummies@gmail.com, and we'll get it over to Amanda and try and get you an answer. I mean, that's kind of what we're trying to do here. I mean, honestly, it's all about the information and sharing it. So let us know what you guys think. Amanda, I know you'll give us your attention if I send those to you in an email. We also
Definitely.
look forward to seeing you sometime in the future. We don't have an exact date, but I'm excited that you are willing to come back and talk to us about Highland Park.
Looking forward to
I
it.
love
Big
Highland Park.
fans of Highland
One of my
Park.
lovers. I love his Highland Park. So
We got one
I'm
of those online right
very anxious to talk to you about
Yeah, I
Highland
see
Park.
that.
Oh, do you like the new packaging? Have you opened it?
now. It is.
Yeah, we
we
have.
We've opened it, yeah. it's good.
Mixed emotions. I gotta be honest, mixed
It's
emotions.
all about
I
what's in the bottle.
love the etch bottle.
The bottle's very cool.
The bottle's cool, but he was a sucker. He was trying to get a hold of one of those Viking ships, and he missed it.
It's
So,
the
just so
second bottle that I did that to.
So the bottle, the symbol on the package itself is actually taken from a Viking church in, I believe, Norway, from what was carved into the walls, and it's actually a lion and a serpent, which represents the eternal battle between good and evil. So it's an actual relic taken from a Viking church. So
Very cool.
That
I
is
think
pretty
that's-
cool.
So
It is.
that little bit of knowledge really made me love the new packaging, and I like that.
I mean, the whiskey tastes better, right?
And the
Can't
whiskey
hurt.
is amazing.
Yeah.
That helps, too.
Well,
Yep.
with that being said, it is the 2 minutes over is pretty good. I mean,
That's good. We
Come on,
could
right?
have gone
I'm
worse.
sorry.
Do you want to go? Do you have more questions? It's up to you.
I don't. I think it's
I
appropriate.
think it's
We'll
appropriate
move
that
on.
we let Telex move on
Everybody
to today's show.
tune in
And
to
Amanda,
Telex.
most importantly, Amanda. she's
If
been
you
with
want
us
to
for
hang
now.
on, Amanda, while we wrap up, we'll talk to you in just a second. But we want to at least say thank you to everybody.
Thank you.
It's great to see everyone.
Rob, Scott, Bill, Swami, all you guys that really helped us promote this and helped us get out. We really appreciate you guys helping us out. And Amanda, thank you so much. You sent us 3 incredible bottles that we are
Yep.
going to actually get official reviews, and we'll give you the links when we give you those, when those get those out. But this was really cool, guys.
That was a
Yeah,
lot
I
of
mean,
fun.
the highest number I saw was roughly 62 online.
So we did break a new record.
We're in the
online.
50s right now, just at the end of our show, even. So.
Wait, did you say you did or didn't?
We did.
We did.
We our highest number was 41, and we got to 62. So you smashed it.
Yeah, killed it. Thank you.
But you were great to work with, Amanda. You provided more than enough information. You gave us the whiskey to have in front of us and to be able to share with our subscribers. So we're excited about it. Really appreciate you, and I'm looking forward to having you on in the future and watching you on the other channels now.
Because they'll be hitting
That's
you up.
okay. So everybody, that's it. We're gonna call it a show.
There you
Really
go.
appreciate everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Wheelhouse.
Wheelhouse.
I don't have
Miss
any
you,
left.
Drew.
Really?
Thank you.
Here I am saying wheelhouse, and I don't even know how to shut the channel down. How's that, right?
He's just going to keep talking.
Yeah, I'll just
So
keep
just
talking.
go ahead and go.